attacking us, can you give us a question?
Go ahead.
No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
President-elect,
Go ahead.
Since you are attacking
No,
our news
not you.
organization,
Not you.
can you give us a chance?
Your organization is
You are attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization.
Christy Parsons. And Christy, you are going to get the last question. Christy is, I've been knowing her since Springfield, Illinois. When I was a state senator, she listened to what I had to say. So the least I can do is give her the last question as President of the United States. Go ahead.
217 number still works. So.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It has been an honor.
Thank you.
And I have a personal question for you, because I don't know how much I like this. The First Lady put the stakes of the 2016 election in very personal terms in a speech that resonated across the country. And she really spoke the concerns of a lot of women, LGBT folks, people of color, many others. And so I wonder now how you and the First Lady are talking to your daughters about the meaning of this election and how you interpret it for yourself and for them.
You know, every parent brags on their daughters or their sons. You know, if your mom and dad don't brag on you, you know, you got problems. But man, my daughters are something. And they just surprise and enchant and impress me more and more every single day as they grow up. And so these days when we talk as parent to child, but also we learn from them. And I think it was really interesting to see how Malia and Sasha reacted. They were disappointed. They paid attention to what their mom said during the campaign and believed it because it's consistent with what we've tried to teach them in our household, and what I've tried to model as a father with their mom, and what we've asked them to expect from future boyfriends or spouses. But what we've also tried to teach them is resilience, and we've tried to teach them hope, and that the only thing that is the end of the world is the end of the world. And so you get knocked down, you get up, brush yourself off, and you get back to work. And that tended to be their attitude. I think neither of them intend to pursue a future of politics, and in that too, I think their mother's influence shows. But both of them have grown up in an environment where I think they could not help but be patriotic, to love this country deeply, to see that it's flawed, but see that they have responsibilities to fix it, and that they need to be active citizens, and they have to be in a position to talk to their friends and their teachers and their future coworkers in ways that try to shed some light as opposed to just generate a lot of sound and fury. And I expect that's what they're going to do. They do not, they don't mope. And what I really am proud of them, what makes me proudest about them is that they also don't get cynical about it. They have not assumed because their side didn't win, or because some of the values that they care about don't seem as if they were vindicated, that automatically America has somehow rejected them or rejected their values. Or I don't think they feel that way. I think they have, in part through osmosis, in part through dinner time conversations, appreciated the fact that this is a big, complicated country and democracy is messy and it doesn't always work exactly the way you might want. It doesn't guarantee certain outcomes. But if you're engaged and you're involved, then there are a lot more good people than bad in this country. And there's a core decency to this country. And that they got to be a part of lifting that up. And I expect they will be. And in that sense, they are representative of this generation that makes me really optimistic. I've been asked, I've had some off-the-record conversations with some journalists where they said, okay, you seem like you're okay, but really, what are you thinking? And I've said, no, what I'm saying really is what I think. I believe in this country. I believe in the American people. I believe that people are more good than bad. I believe tragic things happen. I think there's evil in the world. But I think that at the end of the day, if we work hard and if we're true to those things in us that feel true and feel right, that the world gets a little better each time. That's what this presidency has tried to be about. And I see that in the young people I've worked with. I couldn't be prouder of them. And so this is not just a matter of no drama Obama. This is what I really believe. It is true that behind closed doors I curse more than I do publicly. And sometimes I get mad and frustrated like everybody else does. But at my core, I think we're going to be okay. We just have to fight for it. We have to work for it and not take it for granted. And I know that you will help us do that. Thank you very much, Press Corps. Good luck.
I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
We have a Republican Secretary of State who says it's virtually impossible to rig an election. Is this a dangerous message you're sending to people that the election might be rigged?
Yes, and he's excellent, by the way, I have to tell you. And maybe in Ohio it's fine, but in many places throughout the country they do have problems. And I'm actually here to talk about it during my speech, so I think you'll find it very interesting.
"19 days out from the election, you've been labeled a racist, you've been called a sexist.
Thank you very much.
How do you respond to that?
I am the least racist person you've ever met.
I think it was disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace. And I say that. And that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace. That information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public. As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. And as far as CNN going out of their way to build it up, and by the way, we just found out I was coming down. Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is a very talented lawyer. He's a good lawyer in my firm. It was just reported that it wasn't this Michael Cohen they were talking about. So all night long, it's Michael Cohen. I said, I want to see your passport. He brings his passport to my office. I say, hey, wait a minute. He didn't leave the country. He wasn't out of the country. They had Michael Cohen of the Trump Organization was in Prague. It turned out to be a different Michael Cohen. It's a disgrace what took place. It's a disgrace. And I think they ought to apologize to start with Michael Cohen.
Sir, since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
Go ahead.
No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
since you are attacking
No,
our news
not you.
organization,
Not
can
you.
you give us a chance?
Your organization's
You are attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization's
Can you give us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to ask
go.
a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
Can you state
She's
categorically,
asking a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No, I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a
Can you
question.
can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not
Go ahead.
appropriate.
Trump disrespects the military. During his State of the Union address,
A sanctuary.
while full of mispronunciations,
So a pretty sharp comment from Pelosi suggesting
shade,
Women and children. He directed the December assault. Directed the December assault. Directed the December assault.
made up words, and more importantly, lies, he misled Americans. This is who Donald Trump is, a hypocrite.
You expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe. You want him to,
It's up to him.
you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much
if
better.
I may
Okay,
ask
that's
one other
enough.
question. Mr. President, if I may, I
That's
was going
enough.
to ask one of the other folks.
That's
have had,
enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Sit down. I didn't call you. I didn't call you. I didn't call you. Excuse me, I'm not responding to you. I'm talking to this gentleman. Would you please sit down? Excuse me, would you please sit down? Very hostile. It's such a hostile media. It's so sad. You asked me about, no, you rudely interrupted him. You rudely interrupted him. Go ahead.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also
I don't
saying
know why you'd
that
say
the
that.
president.
That's such a racist
There are
question.
some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists
Oh, I
because
don't
of your
believe
rhetoric.
that. I don't
What do
believe
you make of that?
I don't believe that's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
Mr. President, I wanted to challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms. That
Here we go.
That, well, if
Let's
you don't
go.
mind,
Let's
Mr.
go.
President,
Come on.
that this caravan was an invasion. As you know,
I
Mr. President,
consider it to be an
As you know,
invasion.
Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants
Not
in this
at all.
election
No, not
to
at all.
try to keep
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and
Well,
so
that's
on.
true.
But
They weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual. You know, it happened a few days ago, and
They're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of
you know
miles
what?
away.
I
That's
think
not an
you
invasion.
should- honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN,
All right.
and if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much
if
better.
I may
Okay,
ask
that's
one other
enough.
question, Mr. President. If I may
Go ahead,
ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I
That's
was going
enough.
to ask one of the other folks.
That's
have had,
enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President,
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
that you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming down?
investigation because it's a hoax.
Are you-
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible.
Mr. President, you repeatedly, over the course
Okay,
of the...
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, no.
when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
There's been a report out that 48 bomb threats have been made against Jewish centers all across the country in the last couple of weeks. There are people who are committing anti-Semitic acts or threatening to.
You see, he said he was going to ask a very simple, easy question. And it's not. It's not a simple question, not a fair question. Okay, sit down. I understand the rest of your question. So here's the story, folks. Number one, I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen in your entire life. Number two, racism, the least racist person. In fact, we did very well relative to other people running as a Republican. Quiet, quiet, quiet. See, he lied about, he was going to get up and ask a very straight, simple question. So, you know, it's welcome to the world of the media.
Would you accept that that was a good example of the smooth running of government?
Yeah, I do. Let me tell you about the
Were there any mistakes in that?
Wait. I know who you are. Just wait.
I guess my question is, why should Americans trust you when you accuse the information they receive of being fake when you're providing information?
Well, I don't know. I was given that information. I've seen that information around. But it was a very substantial victory. Do you agree with that? How much longer should we stay here, folks? Wait, let's see. I want to find a friendly reporter.
You said that the leaks are real, but the news is fake. I guess I don't understand. It seems that there's a disconnect there. If the information coming from those leaks is real, then how can the stories be fake?
No, the reporting is fake.
And if I may ask, I just want to ask
Jim, you know what it is? Here's the thing. The public isn't, they read newspapers, they see television, they watch. They don't know if it's true or false.
Why not just say it's a story I don't like?
I do that.
Call it fake news,
No, I do
you're
that.
undermining confidence in our news media.
Here's the thing.
Isn't
Okay,
that important?
I understand what and you're right about that, except this. See, I know when I should get good and when I should get bad. And sometimes I'll say, wow, that's going to be a great story, and I'll get killed. I know what's good and bad. I'd be a pretty good reporter, not as good as you.
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well,
Hispanic
I would.
Caucus?
I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours?
I'm just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure
Let's
they're
go set up
right
a
now.
meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great, the Congressional Black Caucus. I think it's great.
It started out friendly enough.
Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
But the exchange that followed between President Trump and ABC's Cecilia Vega was so harsh that someone tweeted, "Does the White House have an HR department?"
She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
The White House went ahead and somehow transcribed the president as saying, "That's okay, I know you're not thanking, you never do." But by morning, the transcript was corrected to read, "That's okay, I know you're not thinking, you never do." But what was he thinking?
On talk shows, you could actually hear the studio audience's gasp when the clip was played.
From Kimmel?
Okay, I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
What a creep.
To Seth Meyers.
You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, how much of a sexist can you possibly be?
To The View.
Go ahead.
Okay.
But defenders said President Trump would have given the same treatment to a male reporter. That was funny. You hate him, he hates you, it's fair. He would have done that to Acosta, just keeping it equal. Conan's sidekick, Andy Richter, tweeted tongue-in-cheek, "I do have to say I'm loving the GOP's outreach to women voters." The Daily Show inducted the exchange into the ranks of great moments.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody. That's okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
It's the put-down critics can't stop putting down.
You know who was his usual charming self?
Jeannie Mo, CNN.
That's okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
New York.
Go ahead. I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.
What do you say the Americans were scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead.
Just
I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and the same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. Let me just for whom you work. Let me just tell you something. That's really bad reporting. And you ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see if it works. It might and it might not. I happen to feel good about it, but who knows? I've been right a lot.